I think the central argument of this book is one that is convergent with and has helped to amplify an argument I've been trying to make, which is a recovery, a reinventio, which means both discovery and invention of a richer understanding of rationality that brings back its spiritual, sapiential, having to do with wisdom, its spiritual and sapiential dimensions in a way that are sorely needed today, especially in responding to the meaning crisis. So D.C. Schindler is proposing that Plato's Republic, which is what the book is an extended reflection on, D.C. Schindler's book, is an account of that notion of reason that we need to recover. And I think this is so convergent with work I've been doing independently on trying to get a deeper, broader, richer understanding of reason and connect it both to the spiritual and to the sapiential, that I find this book a masterpiece for exactly that project. And Schindler wants to point out that one of, and this goes perfectly to your point about how it's helped explicate aspects of the meaning crisis, which Dan and I talked about at length, is right this impoverishment of reason and its trivialization and neglect and ultimately often rejection has been a significant contributor to the meaning crisis. It's certainly an exacerbator of it.
Yeah, very well said. And with that said, I guess we'll just jump into the introduction of the book and we'll start working our way sequentially through the chapters.
Sure.
And I'll occasionally read a few excerpts here and then I'll have questions. But I think, as you just said, really the big theme is, uncovering the importance of reason, or rediscovering the importance of reason or rationality that we seem to have diverged from in the modern age. And so one of the things, the introduction of the book opens with is the question, what reason could one possibly give for reason? It goes on to say, the very raising of the question seems at once to deny the possibility of answering and to force a particular answer. It's almost kind of like a meta question in a way.
Yes.
And another excerpt from the book, reason, Nietzsche will say, is at root irrational. Truth is a subspecies of falsehood that has been elevated above other falsehoods for quote unquote reasons that cannot be measured against the standard of reason itself. I had a conversation earlier today with Matthias Desmet, who's done some work on mass psychosis. And he was making, one of the points he makes in his book is that all the great thinkers, all the great scientists, really, they end up going beyond rationality or realizing the limits of rationality in a way. And so it seems like we're sort of exploring something similar here, as like trying to see the bounds of rationality or reason, and if it connects to something that's transcendent, I think, which perhaps is the Platonic notion of the good, which we'll get into. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but maybe we could start here, because I think the translation for the word reason is ratio, right?
Yep.
Which is the same spelling as the word we know as ratio. This is root word of rationality, perhaps also related to the logos. I'm not sure, but I'll let you explain that. And the other side of the ratio coin, or there's another term, I don't know if it's the other side of the coin, is religio. Hope I'm saying that correctly.
Yes.
And I guess we would sort of summarize this dichotomy as ratio being science or rationality, and religio being religion.
Yes.
To some extent. How are both ratio and religio indispensable to civilization or to being, or whichever direction you want to take this question?
Sure. I'd like to pick up the question, because I think one of the central things that Schindler is trying to do in the book is to challenge that dichotomy and to show the deep interpenetration between ratio, proper proportioning, and religio, proper connectedness. And that what we're doing in reason is we are trying to properly proportion our attention and our thinking and our discussion so that we enter into religio, right relationship with the whole. And that is the best way that that binding of ourselves to something beyond ourselves as the whole, and our proper proportioning of our faculties towards that connectivity is what will give us the best chance of coming into contact, conformity with reality. And then Schindler wants to say that that contemplative aspect of reason needs no independent justification or modification. It is intrinsically good to bring about that kind of fundamental understanding. So, you know, that was very sort of abstract language, but if you think about it, right, think about how the two are together in something that he talks about. And again, I want to bring this up because this is another theme, and it's actually the part of the title of his next book, but at least the next book I read by him. Think about when you love somebody, you are always trying to properly proportion how you're attending to them, how you're talking with them, because you're trying to get this ratio, because what you're trying to do is get the best possible connectedness to them. And when you love them, that proper proportioning is in the service of, you know, like if you just love your partner because she has a great mouth, or you love your partner just because she's a particularly good sexual lover, right? Many people would I think rightly say, well, that's not love. That's a, you know, but when you really love a person, you are pursuing something that you will never get a grasp on, which is the whole. You love the whole person, and that's a distinguishing feature between sort of love and just possessiveness. And so you can see here how the two are intermingling. I want to connect to this person, but if I'm going to connect to them really, I'm connecting to the whole of them. But that means I have to properly proportion. I have to set in ratio, how I am paying attention to them, how I'm reflecting upon them, how I'm listening to them and speaking to them. Just think of it there. Think about how much religio with another person depends on getting the right ratio of speaking and listening with them.